Today, Iraq's Prime Minister ordered the country's air force to support Kurdish troops battling ISIS fighters in the north of the country. This weekend, the Sunni militants made more gains, taking 2 towns, 2 oil fields and a main dam in the Kurdish region. For more on the security situation, I'm joined by retired US Army Colonel Douglas Macgregor. He led army forces during the 1991 invasion of Iraq. If I could just ask you, how grave do you think the threat is from ISIS if the Iraqi Air Force is now backing up the Kurdish troops? I mean, they're not exactly best friends, are they?
Well, that's true, but there's some good news in this. And the good news is that Mr. Maliki's Shiite Arab government is finally talking and cooperating with the Kurdish government in the north. And thus far, there's been no cooperation. And if you look at the two of them, they have more than enough military capability to contain or even defeat ISIL if they will work together.
But are you surprised at the gains that ISIL made this weekend against the Kurdish troops?
Yeah, I am a little surprised because the Kurds are actually very competent. They were very lightly armed. There was a small number of them present near Mosul and the surrounding towns when they were attacked. Apparently, they were surprised.
What do you think that ISIS's strategy is here? They're obviously going after generators, they're going after dams. What do they want to do?
ISIS is going to probe for weakness. Wherever it finds weakness, it will try to advance. Obviously, the Mosul dam is very important. Fortunately, the Kurds still retain control of it. If ISIS were to get that dam and then destroy it or damage it in some way, it could flood thousands of people's homes and farmland. It would be a humanitarian disaster.
The Kurdish forces are asking for American help. They're saying they can't do this just with Kalashnikovs, but will any be forthcoming?
Well, listen, first of all, they've got hundreds of tanks and artillery systems they're not telling people about. What they have to do is reorganize and consolidate and concentrate capability near Mosul. I think they will. I think we'll see the Kurds counterattack very decisively with the tanks and artillery they have, and I think they'll drive ISIL back.
But what difference do you think the US military observers who've been in Iraq now for a few weeks, what difference do you think that they're making?
Well, I'm not sure what they're doing, to be blunt, other than collecting a lot of intelligence. And I think they've been told to largely stay out of the fighting. And then again, we don't know to what extent Mr. Maliki and his forces are really willing to listen to us. So that's a question for which there's no easy answer.
You were the leader of army forces back in 1991 during that US-led invasion. How concerned are you by the picture in Iraq today?
Well, I don't think it's a question of concern. I think it's more a matter of disappointment because much of this could have been avoided had we handled things very differently. And we can't go into that in great detail now, but I think the lesson is that you don't try to impose a government, a system, a political system on people. What you do is you take what you find and you work with it. That's what we failed to do.
Well, you could say that goes all the way back to Gertrude Bell, but do you see the partition of the country now as inevitable?
Oh, I think that's a foregone conclusion. I think the surge consolidated those regions. Let's face it, 2005, 2006, the Shiites won the civil war against the Sunni Arabs. Baghdad was largely cleansed of Sunnis by January of 2007. Then the surge came in and eliminated what strength the Sunnis had, leaving them vulnerable. Now they've come back with a vengeance. But how long will this last? The Islamists, you know, don't govern very well.
Colonel Douglas Macgregor, thank you very much.